Hi everyone, it's Julie. Welcome back to the Scrap Zone. In today's video, I'm going to share with you my Reimagined layouts that I did using the Bloom with Grace paper collection and Cricut cuts. Do you ever think sometimes that a paper collection is made just for you? I think this one was. If you know me, you know that I love sunflowers, and this one is not going to disappoint. So I did start with the Bloom with Grace scrapbooking kit, and then I decided to reimagine it, if you want, with Cricut cuts. Now I'm showing you here all of the beautiful die cuts. It comes with this really pretty sticker sheet. The pattern papers in this collection is to die for. I love every single sheet, and you'll have a couple of extra sheets in the kit. So when you get the kit, you have this extra sheet here and this one right here. It's packed full of cardstock. So let's get started. So for layout number 1, I'm going to punch out all of those little die cuts, and I'm going to kind of stack them together. Now you can do whatever you want in your workflow, but I find that when I separate all of my images, my die cuts, and I go ahead and I do my Cricut cuts, it works better for me. So for layout number 1, I'm not going to use this pretty die cut, but I'll use it later. So here you see the Reimagine layout that I've created. So I've gone ahead and I've added those beautiful leaf borders in Cricut, and I also created that really awesome sentiment on the right hand side. I've gone ahead here and I've fussy cut the title. I used a little bit of liquid glass to make it pop. So I wanted to do something special for the background. So I decided to do this really quick and easy technique. I'm just rubbing my ink here on my all-purpose mat. Now don't press it in because you don't want to have an impression of the ink pad. And then I'm just rubbing my cardstock directly on it. No water needed, and there you have it. It is easy, it is fast, and it brings a punch. Like you will see the finished layouts that just that little added background makes a ton of difference. So let's put that page together. So I'm going to start here on the left hand side, and then I'm just going to bring all of my pieces back, and we're going to assemble these layouts. If you know me, you know that I like to ink distress. So yes, I did distress all of the cut pieces with Espresso ink. And then here I'm just assembling very quickly that really pretty border that was made in Cricut. And then I'm using all of the die cuts, and some of them are stickers. And I'm just really showing off that beautiful sunflower. I just felt that that background really allowed them to shine, and the yellow against the sapphire background just looked really, really nice. So again, I am going to ink distress all of my titles. So here I'm just showing you that because that title is so dainty, don't rub the ink against it, pounce it, or else you're going to rip your little letters. Ask me how I know that. And then right here I'm showing you that in those die cuts you have all of these little petals, and you might be wondering, well, what am I going to do with that? Well, first you take the sticker, and I've just used my anti-static pouch and I've put some at the back so that it's not sticky anymore. And then I did shape those little petals just ever so slightly, but you can tell here that that element really pops, and that's all part of the die cuts that are included in that kit. So it's really, really easy and very convenient. So I'm going to add my little border here, and then I'm just going to cut off the excess with my microtip scissors, and I'm just going to start dry fitting all of my images to make sure that I'm giving myself enough space. Now when I put that sunflower cluster at the top, I just make sure that I don't have anything underneath where my picture is going to be later on. And here is the completion of layout number 1. You can see here that I've got that beautiful shine with the liquid glass. I've got that 3D flower. I added a little bit of hemp, and those little wood hearts, and that was done. It was so easy. So of course that technique was so easy and cool, had to try it again, right? So layout number 2, I kind of took my design direction, if you want, from the kit, but I just decided to make it more monochromatic. I eliminated some of the other colors and I just stuck with the canary, and I really liked how that turned out as well. I'm going to wash my all-purpose mat here, and I just use my spritzer and I wipe it down. And I missed it in the first layout, but I didn't miss it in this one. I decided to add just a tiny little bit of flex with Espresso reinker on my pages, and you would think that I've spent a whole bunch of time on those backgrounds. I don't know what I'm going to call them. I guess they're inked background with little splatters here and there, but they are fantastic. They really complete this page. So I'm just going to start putting my flowers here and there, and those are all the die cut pieces. And here I'm kind of mimicking washi tape by cutting a few of these pieces, and it's cut from the pattern paper. And I'm just going to put them on my page, and there you have it, a beautiful page that's more monochromatic if you want. I've got a lot of dimension with dimensional foam, and those little wood shapes are perfect. Now, layout number 4, I absolutely wanted to make 3D sunflowers. So this is where the fun is going to happen. I really enjoyed making those. So these are the pieces that you need to create this sunflower. And what's really nice about this 3-dimensional flower is that it's got a lot of dimension, but it's not really thick. So when you put it inside your scrapbook, it's not going to create too much bulk. So those are the pieces that you have, and those are all part of the Design Space file. The information will be listed down below. And I'm showing you all of the tools that I used to shape this flower. So go in your stash. I'm sure you have these tools in your scrapbooking room. And let's start putting this pretty little sunflower together. Now, step 1, you're just going to add little lines with a stylus. Like, so I'm just really running that against each of the petals. And then step 2, I curled up each of the petals, and then I'm just kind of bending, if you want, the tips of them. Now let me show you that one more time, because that was a little bit too fast, right? I'm putting all of the lines into the petals, so I'm kind of doing like 3 or 4 lines, and I'm just rubbing that down. And then I'm going to ink it. So that first one, I completely forgot to ink it, and you're kind of missing the point. So here I am inking the petals, and because I did those little crease lines, now you can see the dimension or the texture that it creates. So we can further now shape that flower now that it's been inked. So you saw that I used as the tip of my brush to kind of curl those petals in, and then I'm just kind of pulling them down, sideways, upways, because a sunflower really is random. And I'm going to add the 2 large pieces together. Now they fit perfectly together. You just kind of turn it and you make sure that you fill in all of those blank spaces, and it fits perfectly. So see, it's got dimension, but not too much. So you're going to repeat that same step for the 2 other pieces, which are the smaller pieces. You're going to glue them together. You're going to make sure that you fill in all of the blank spaces by rotating your petals, and then you're just going to add them together. That's the base of your flower. It's not complicated. Yes, it's 4 pieces, but it's really simple to do. So for the center of the flower, I'm using Espresso ink, and I'm pouncing here on that little, I'm going to call it the little button inside. And I'm also adding ink to those little starburst, or I think that's actually a sun. See what you can do with crickets and different colors? So I'm going to assemble the circle pieces together, and you want to make sure that you have glue on all of those pieces, because we're going to further shape that little circle in a moment. but I'm just going to let that dry for just a second. I'm going to attach those two little pieces together, and again it's the same idea, right? You're filling in the blanks. That's going to go right in the middle, and my little button or my little center is going to go on top. So here you see me just using my bone folder, so you don't need like fancy tools. I try to keep this simple, and I'm just kind of creating a little cup so that I can add not one but two dimensional foam tapes, and that's going to give that additional I guess dimension to the flower, but not again give too much dimension. So you can see that it's kind of curled inwards, and when you pop it right into the center, it just looks really, really sweet. So the last part of the flower is we're going to repeat that same technique, but we're going to use here, I think I used fern cardstock, and I'm going to do the same thing as I did with the petals. I'm going to ink them, I'm going to shape them, but when I curl the ends of this particular one, I just curl them down because that's going to sit right on the back side of your sunflower. So you kind of mess with it and you kind of turn it around until you see what you want to see, and then you are done. So the last thing is the leaves, and those again I'm going to give them a little bit of a shape. I'm just going to run my stylus down the center to create little vein lines. I'm going to add some ink on the edges, and then I'm going to add some ink on the surface. Now the reason I'm adding ink on the surface is because I want to show off those little lines we created with the stylus. I'm going to curl back that little tip of the leaf, and they're pretty much done. Once they dry, they look really, really nice. Now, I would not attach them to the flower right away. I would wait until you start putting it together on your layout, because you're probably going to move them around. So for this layout here on the left-hand side, I kept it pretty much true to the original layout. The only thing I did here is I kind of flipped that stripe paper. Now, when you want to see a lot of the paper or a lot of the pattern, you put it down horizontally, and if you don't want to see as much of it, you just put it down vertically. I really like the way that it shows up on the horizontal side. I did go ahead and I did ink distress all of those pieces, and now I'm just putting them all together. You will notice that in these pieces here, you've got a couple of them, like you've got two extra ones, and you're like, well, what are those for? Well, they overlap on top of each other, and I thought, well, if they're going to overlap on top of each other, I might as well use dimensional foam just to give them even more dimension. So here you see me adding them together, and then I'm just going to dry fit my circle to make sure that everything fits on this page. And we're going to go ahead and we are going to add those little flowers in a minute. Now, I really wanted to use more pictures on this layout, but I decided that the original layout was fine. And here I'm showing you that completed flower, and it really isn't that thick. Like, it's not a huge dimensional flower, but it is a pretty dimensional flower. So I'm going to add my sunflowers to the left-hand side of the page, and you can see here that I am fussing with those little leaves. I'm putting them here and there, and I'm just trying to add them to my layout, and I did move them around quite a bit, to be honest with you, and I really like the way that it turned out at the end. I cut here a few little branches in the espresso, and we're going to add those little pennants to the back of my picture frame, and I'm just kind of removing the sticky part of the sticker in the background because I'm going to put them directly on the back side of my photo mat here, so that when I put it down with the 3D foam tape, everything is popped up. So I really liked how that turned out. I'm going to add just this really cute little sentiment here, and look on this sticker sheet because there's so many sentiment. I'm sure you'll find the perfect one for your layout. So here's a little tip for you. When you're adding pieces of papers and you want to make sure that they're overlapping properly, like here I'm adding, you saw I did the first one, and then here I'm putting the second one here, and I'm just leaving equal distance. When I'm putting my center piece on that layout, there's a little bit of an overlap, and that way you don't have a gap. So for this piece here, I wanted to show you that just by moving it around, you can see that that color is flowing from the left side to the right side, and it is just perfect for that layout. Again, I wanted the sunflowers to pop against a really nice background, and this one here is sangria, and it's got that new color, which is desert rose, which I am in love with. So it's just a matter of kind of really thinking it through when you put your layouts together and looking at the patterns in the paper to make sure that they all flow from the left side to the right side. So I'm going to add this little sticker here at the bottom because I didn't know exactly what kind of title I wanted on this page. So of course, the girl that loves sunflowers, I didn't make it out to a sunflower field this year. When I did go, the sunflowers were, we had a really big storm and they were all facing down, so I didn't get a chance to take pictures with them. But I will next year. So here's the completed layout, and I really hope you've enjoyed the 3D flowers, the background that was super fast, and my reimagined of this kit. Now, if you're new to my channel, you might want to subscribe. Click that subscription button and the notification bell. And here I'll leave you with another layout that you might want to see. Have yourself a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next video.